game was horrible. Bad weather, bad football. But you really can't blame Phillip Rivers. I mean, he had the flu and everything, and he really kept San Diego in the game like he always does. He's a competitor. Alex Smith, his interception streak actually ended this week, but, hey, he threw himself a touchdown pass to another wide receiver, Albert Wilson. And the Chiefs, they survive a late run by San Diego, and they hold off the Chargers 10-3. They've won 7 games in a row, and they are really, really starting to look like a team who is really on fire in that AFC. Me personally, I think if they get in, they can cause a lot of trouble for people. What do you think, Josh?
Hey, they keep winning. You can't knock a team that keeps winning. Alex Smith did end his interception streak, unfortunately, but they got the job done. It wasn't pretty by any means. Only scoring 10 points against San Diego's defense is definitely not anything to get excited about, but they got the job done, and their defense played good, so you can't you got to give credit where it's due, and they got that D. Ford played really good. He was all over the field with 3 sacks. I mean, I don't even really know much about the guy, but he was all over the field, made plays. They won the game. Go Chiefs, right?
Yeah, no doubt there. Did you get to check out any of that San Diego Kansas City game over there, Kurt?
Yeah, the Chiefs, I think this is a great matchup for their passing offense on the Ravens. Alex Smith is hot, 191 yards last week in the TD. He did throw that interception, but I just think it's a real good matchup for him. Ravens pass D hasn't been much good at all this year. I think they're ranked around 21st in the NFL, giving up almost 250 yards a game. Got to roll with Kansas City. They're the hot team, 7 in a row. I think they're going to make it 8.
Good point there. How did you feel about that game this week, Sam?
Well, first off, as far as Kansas City is concerned, you got to like their chances of making the playoffs. They've won 7 in a row. Are they bound to lose a game? Yes. I'd say that it was kind of a boring game. It was a defensive struggle. The Chiefs, the defense was playing really well. Obviously, much better than the way it played in the first part of the season. Alex Smith, I'm still really on the fence about. I know he's playing well right now, but that's a guy I don't trust to take them too far in the playoffs with the particular squad they have. But I think as you look at the team right now, they're going to get in. I couldn't see them not beating the Ravens this week. I think they're going to be one of the wild card teams. So, I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they can pass the first round, but it's impressive how they've turned things around after being 1-5.
Yeah, it is starting to look more like we're facing a world with the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs here. And we pretty much ran through Oakland, Denver earlier in this game, so we'll go ahead and bypass that. We'll move on here to a game it really shouldn't take much long here. I mean, Detroit, St. Louis, we'll just cover it just because they say we have to. That game was pretty bad. The offense was putting everyone to sleep. But hey, Todd Gurley, though, he had his best game in over a month, going for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the Rams, man, they still have that tough defense. So I think they're still playing hard over there for Jeff Fisher. Once again, probably just a little bit too late there. Rams 21, Lions 14. Your thoughts, Josh?
Well, the Rams are a much better team at home than they are on the road. That's for sure. Todd Gurley had a really big game, and he hadn't done that in the last couple of weeks, and that's probably why they're behind kicked. This team basically relies on their defense. That's how they win games. Their defense played good enough, and where the heck was Calvin Johnson in this game? I mean, St. Louis did something right when you hold Calvin Johnson to only 1 catch for 16 yards. So that's how they won the game. You take the big players out, and you can win games. St. Louis did it, got it done. I'm not impressed with their offense by any means, but they got it done.
Well, I don't think any of us are there. Did you get to check out any of the Rams this week, Kurt?
No, just what popped across, in and out on Red Zone. But I read up a little bit here and there trying to get a feel for it. And unfortunately, I had thought the Lions would win that week, last week. But their offense was just out of sync for so much of the game. They moved the ball using their backfield on the ground and through short passing routes. But, the Rams harassed Stafford and hit him all game. And the Rams, ended up snapping their 5-game losing streak with the 21-14 win. I really thought Detroit was going to maybe right the ship, but St. Louis has been a problem for me trying to pick them all year long. And
yeah, I mean, I kind of see your school of thought there, Kurt, but I do believe that loss to Green Bay with the Hail Mary, it's going to probably hang over Detroit's head the rest of the year. They're not even going to really get up to play anybody the rest of the way, I don't believe.
Well, it's a gut-wrenching loss.
Yeah, I can feel you. I mean, I'm glad the Raiders haven't lost one like that yet this season. But they had their bad moments against Kansas City, throwing 3 interceptions. So, Detroit, I feel bad for them guys because every time it seems like they're about to turn things around, something just comes around to bite them in the ass. Seems like a snake-bit franchise, in my opinion. What do you think about Detroit, St. Louis over there, Sam?
I'm not going to get too heavy into this game because it was honestly a meaningless football game. At that stage, that both teams had no shot to make the playoffs. It's a game of pride. The Rams beat them. The Rams outplayed them. They got the win. They deserved it. For the Lions, that's the Detroit Lions. They were done when Aaron Rodgers hit them with that ultimate dagger on the Hail Mary touchdown. So the season's over for both of them. So game to me didn't mean much. It only means a better draft pick at this point.
Hey, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, another game that we just go run through real fast here. Johnny Manziel makes his return to the starting lineup for the 86th time this season for the Cleveland Browns. And lo and behold, they get the job done. They win a football game 24-10. Manziel, he did throw himself a touchdown pass to Gary Barnett. But the big story in this game was Cleveland's defense getting to Blaine Gabbert 9 times. Those guys can play some defense when they want to. And I think this is probably a win that's going to really, really cause problems for Mike Pettin, because now people are going to turn around and point a finger at him and say, why weren't you playing Manziel to begin with? So he's got a lot of issues here when he wins games with Johnny Football at quarterback. Josh?
Oh, God. Cleveland got the game. They did what they needed to do. They ran the ball. They got to the quarterback, and Manziel didn't play. He played good, and honestly, I looked at his stats. He's actually played pretty good most games he's been in there. I mean, his stats are definitely not exciting, but he hasn't been horrible either. So the team's bipolar in Cleveland. I mean, you don't know who's going to be the quarterback week to week because the coach situation. They seem confused with what they want to do in Cleveland, but they got this game. They won this game. They got it done. Good for Cleveland, and I'm sure their fans are excited about their 3rd win of the season.
Hey, 3 is better than 0. Here, quick thoughts on this one, Kurt.
Well, the Browns came to life in all facets of that game against the Niners. They rushed for a season-high 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. That kept the Niners' defense honest, gave Manziel some time to make big plays for the offense. Those 2 rushing touchdowns are only the 3rd and 4th rushing touchdowns for the Browns this season. And San Francisco's poor defense certainly had a lot to do with Cleveland's success running the ball, but the Browns are able to capitalize nonetheless. The Niners, they kind of had the bad trifecta for their offense. They had bad luck, bad preparation, and bad execution. All that adds up to a loss.
Yeah, I mean, the 49ers, they're kind of an on and off football team. And Sunday, they were off. All right. Now we move on to a game with a team that I've been telling Josh and D. Will, they're taking off. They're playing their best football right now. I mean, they lost a key part of their running game by losing Thomas Rawls to the broken ankle. But, hey, Russell Wilson's playing the best football I've seen him play in his career. And the Baltimore Ravens, they were just another bump in the road. The Hawks ran right over them, 35-6. More touchdown passes, catch caught by Doug Baldwin, who seems to have just caught fire. 7 touchdown catches in the last 3 weeks. I mean, if you got him on FanDuel, I know you're making money over there. And that defense, hey, even Sherman got himself an interception. Baltimore, they folded up the tent. And like I told you guys, Seattle, they're just flying. What you got to say about this one, Josh?
I'd say same thing I've been saying for weeks, that Seattle is beating up on teams that aren't any good. So good on them. They're getting wins. I mean, you can't knock that. Russell Wilson's playing off the charts against really, really bad teams, which is, what good quarterbacks do. I'm not going to be all excited like you are. I'm not buying that Seattle's a team that's going to win the Super Bowl this year. I don't believe it. They haven't played good against good teams yet this year. So when they start beating good teams, then I'll start, cheering for them and saying, hey, they're an amazing team. But right now, I'm just not excited.
You'll get there, Josh. You'll get there. Kurt, your thoughts?
Well, Seattle's now won, 6 of their last 7. And Wilson stayed red hot week 14 against the Ravens. He had 290-plus yards, 5 touchdowns. He's been a dominant as a pocket passer, but really what you aren't hearing a lot about, I'm seeing improvement in the offensive line as far as pass protection. And, Russell Wilson mentioned that, giving him credit here after the game. And he's playing just about as well as anybody right now. Like you said, I actually think in the last 3 games, he's hooked up with Baldwin for 8, which is an NFL record. There's a few times for 7. But I think he and Wilson have hooked up for 8 touchdowns in the last 3 games. I thought I saw that stat come up NFL Network earlier today, but I'm not sure. But those guys are on fire.
Yeah, Seattle, they are really starting to take it to opponents, and I'm really looking forward to see if they can carry this on into the playoffs here. Your thoughts, Sandman?
Well, I kind of agree with Josh a little bit where, they beat up on the Baltimore Ravens, so let's, relax a little bit here. The Ravens are an awful team, one of the worst defenses in the NFL right now. It's fun watching what Russell Wilson's done the last couple of weeks, this whole hookup with Doug Baldwin, but, do you honestly think that all of a sudden Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin are the best quarterback-wide receiver combination in the NFL? No, they're not. They're taking advantage of bad teams. They're a playoff team, no doubt, but Seattle has some holes. And, look, they're down to, their 3rd or 4th running back here now, too. So, they're going to get in. They're not going to win the division. They're probably going to get knocked out in the 2nd round of the playoffs. I'm just not as impressed with them as some other people are.
Okay. Well, it's okay to have a different take there. I'm feeling the Hawks. You and Josh are not feeling the Hawks. I guess time will tell how this will end up here. So before we move on here to our last game, the big game here, Minnesota, Arizona, I want to ask you, Kurt, since you are an avid Vikings fan, at 8-5, how do you think Minnesota's chances are of getting in the playoffs? I know we've talked about this before. I want you to tell America how you feel about it, though.
Well, I think they're sitting good. They really have 2 games with 3 to play. I think the one they have to keep an eye on is probably Tampa Bay. You can go through the mathematical logarithms and algebra to figure out the NFL playoff scenarios, but I think it really comes down to Tampa Bay. The Vikings got 2 home games remaining here. They play the Bears at home and the Giants at home, and then they go on to Lambeau Field for Week 17. I think they can win 2 out of those 3. They could win all 3, but I think they win. I think they only have to win 1. I think they'll win 2. The top one's going to be the Sunday night game. They moved that Giants game in Week 17. They have a horrible record on night games since 2009. They're 3-18 in those. Maybe Mike Zimmer can right the boat, but I think it looks good for the Vikings. I think they can win 1 or 2 out of these last 3.
Okay, well, I think they're in also. I think they'll get both of those home games there, and they'll end up getting in at 10-6. I know I have New York winning the East. They'll still get 2 of the 3 division games. They'll get. I think they'll upset Carolina, and they'll get that last game with Philly, and it pretty much causes some weird 8-8 tiebreaker craziness that you have to pretty much be a math major to figure out here. But I'll let you begin breaking down Minnesota, Arizona here, Kurt. What do you think was the problem at the end of this game, or just problems with Minnesota just in general? They cost them a victory.
I didn't like North's play calling. There at the end, Teddy held on to the ball. They were in the game, and the offense looked much better. They ran a lot of shorter routes, but I really don't see Norv and the team still putting much on Teddy Bridgewater's plate. That kind of limits, the whole offense's upside. But we've reached the point where the Vikings are seeing a lot of good defenses, and it's hurting Adrian Peterson. Teddy probably had his best game I've seen him have as a pro, and it still ended up in a loss. But I was impressed with the number of rookies. I think we had 4 rookies starting on defense, and 1 or 2 guys off the practice squad. Zimmer's defense traveled